troubled times, we struggle every day.
Hi everybody, I'm Just Joe, otherwise known as Joe Altier. I'm also the frontman of a band called Brand New Sin. I'm here with Making Music Magazine and my wonderful sponsors, Bogart. I'm going to talk to you about what's been going on with me, going on in the world, and going on with Twitch, so stay tuned.
To things we truly miss.
How has COVID affected my career? How has it not affected my career is a better question, but you know, March 13th was like a D-Day, and that was like everything kind of went away, and I'd be lying if I didn't have a few days of complete freak-out session, because the past 20 years of my life has been spent just playing music, and then all of a sudden the 300 gigs a year that I play are gone or in jeopardy, and I don't know when they're coming back. So it affected me on every level, you know, personally, professionally, and psychologically for sure. But one thing I've always done as a musician is always made sure that there's other revenue streams and keep my eyes open, because one thing I've learned in 20 years is that whatever you think is, you know, in the world in general, whatever you think is normal could change in the blink of an eye, and I think we kind of got a dose of that. So I realized, it was like, okay, if I want to do this, I have to quickly refocus how I present myself, look into the other revenue streams that I built, and it was time to dive into Twitch. The crazy thing is that I've been wanting to do and make a jump to Twitch for over a year. I have some friends that are successful gamers over there, successful podcasters on that level, and they were telling to me about a year ago, because I also work with K-Rock and I do their morning show. We've been twitching or streaming the morning show every day for over a year. So I was kind of familiar with the platform, and everyone's like, well, you got to make the jump. You should really make the jump. You could, next thing you know, you won't have to play as many gigs. You'll be making more. You'll make the money at home. And I'm like, yeah, but how do I just stop making money and then spend time building something? I don't have that time. And then all of a sudden, March 13th came, and all of a sudden I had all the time in the world. So the beauty of Twitch is that there's no limitations, you know. You can do what you want, whatever you want with your channel. You're not beholden to, like, I gotta be there at a certain time, I have to play for a certain amount of time. You can do whatever you want. You can set the guidelines of what you want to do. And here's the thing. If you're playing a gig here in Syracuse and you're playing at a bar or a restaurant, you know, their capacity is 100 people or 75 people. And that's all you're going to be able to get to. On Twitch, the world is your oyster. You can have 75 people in there, or you can build your channel up and you can have thousands. And the beauty of that is that within that 1,000 people, there's nights I have a couple hundred people, I can only count maybe 5 or 6 that are from the Syracuse area. I got people from all over the country, literally all over the world, multicultural, it's like I'm being able to tour the world and not even have to put pants on. I can stay home. So like this has opened a world that I imagined, but I didn't know that really could just blow up like it did. And I took my 20 years of experience in this business and tried to apply it to everything that I've done in Twitch, and tried to learn that platform as quick as possible, because there's a lot of nuances to it. But once you figure it out, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Well, to make that switch successful, it's like you can gain all the followers you want on Twitch. You can get as many likes or followers or people viewing, but what it comes down to is building a community. That's what Twitch is all about. Whether you're a gamer, whether you're a musician, whether you're sewing, whether you're doing artwork, whatever you're doing on there, it's not just about you and your talent. You could be the most talented son of a bitch I've ever seen. But if you're not like interacting with your community and letting your community eventually build up, and then you're kind of moving together. As much as I want to say I'm steering, there's a lot of times I'm not steering. I'm letting my community steer. And the next thing you know, you've got this really amazing community around you, from You know, like I got moderators that are in Canada, I got moderators that are here in Syracuse, I got moderators that live in, you know, other parts of the country. And when people come into my channel, whether they're coming in for the first time or they're coming in from someone who's rated me, I'm proud of the community that's built in there because everyone's so nice and so welcoming. So that's a huge thing, is to make sure that you build this really great community amongst the people that you have in there, and that trickles down from you. So the more interactive you are with them, the kindness that you send to them, because it's tough sometimes to read someone who may not know English all that well, or someone who is, you know, socially awkward in real life, and that kind of translates over to how they type. So you have to kind of understand where they come from, what they're talking about, and give them attention. I've had nights where on my Twitch where like, hey, let's make a goal of like, hey, if we get if no one knows what Twitch is, like there's a thing called the hype train. All of a sudden people start subbing to your channel or throwing you bits or throwing you tips, and all of a sudden it cues this thing called the hype train. And you have 5 levels and you have X amount of time to hit each level, and it encourages people to keep donating, and as you donate, that keeps going up. And I said if we hit the level 5, which is highest, and we hit it twice that night, then the following week I would wear a shark onesie for my entire stream. And that encouraged people. People loved that. That was like a way to really interact and get people excited, and it ended up being my most successful night on Twitch. And the other thing that I love about making a successful Twitch channel is networking with your other fellow streamers. Not just your fellow music streamers, but I have built a community with my music streamers, with my gamers, and with people that even like fish. There's people on there, anglers, that are sitting there fishing all the time, and that's a huge part of Twitch. So I tapped into that, and then I've made friends over there, and we all just kind of cross-pollinate. It reminds me a lot of what the Syracuse music scene was 20 plus years ago, and we all watched out for each other. It wasn't a competition. It was about helping each other and be like, hey, so-and-so's playing tonight, let's go check them out. Or hey, when our set's done, we're gonna hang out all night and mingle with other people. And that's how it happens. And unfortunately, I feel that the Syracuse music scene, a lot of music scenes in this country, have become more of a competition-based. No one wants to help each other out. They're very selfish and it's very self-centered. Whereas in Twitch, man, we're all about helping each other, and we cross-pollinate with each other. And those two things, we're building the community and building this, you know, tight network of musicians, that then we're all watching out, we're all rooting for each other, we're all excited when we get, you know, big nights, or we get partnered, or we get affiliated, we get big things. We all lean on each other. There's a lot of moving parts, but it really comes down to just building that community and that network. Oh man, where do I start with Bogart? I can't even remember how Bogart really first came into the picture, but it was within the first few days. And I have a friend of mine who runs a consulting business, and he ran a pretty successful liquor business a few years back, and we connected because he was a fan of K-Rock the show, and he came to me and he's like, listen, there's a new brand coming out, Bogart brand, and it's not just going to be like, you know, CBD and like disposable one-hitters and all this stuff. They're going to be a larger network of all this stuff, and they're really wanting to help artists right now because they were like, oh my God, all this music's going away, all these arts are going away. What can we do? What can we do to help? So I was the first artist they approached, and I had a long conversation with the people at Bogart and the people that are, you know, above them, and we had some conversations over the course of a couple days. And they're like, well, what can we do to help you? How do we do this? How do we sponsor you? So we quick had, you know, 2-3 days of 1-2 hour conversations and built this really amazing friendship right off the bat, and partnership. And not knowing what, I wasn't even proven on Twitch at that time, but they were like, we're willing to invest. So they helped financially kind of keep me stable for a little bit. They're like, hey, we'll give you some money, we'll help you get some gear, we'll help you, you know, what do we got to do to make your channel look better? What can we do to help drive traffic to there? So they were on board with everything. So, and they were jumping into a new venture as well. So they weren't quite sure. So we kind of grown together, not knowing where it would go. I can't imagine where I would be without their support. in the beginning part of this. So, and now they're, they've signed other artists. Jess Novak was on board right after I was, and they've brought on a bunch more artists. And it's not just music artists. They have some, people that, a DJ, they have someone who sews, so they're really building up this thing and making this umbrella gonna get larger. So it's like, again, I don't know where I would be without Bogart. So thank you to Bogart. Did I envision making a living with Twitch? Yeah. Like a year ago, I knew that if I could have the time, or I could spend the time, that like I was starting to watch other people on there. I mean, gamers are rock stars on there. There's literally gamers making multi-million dollars. And I'm not talking like a year, like monthly. I mean, there's guys just pulling in asinine amounts of money. So once I researched a lot of these music streamers were doing pretty damn well too, to the point where I was watching one of my peers. He's a singer for a band called Trivium. Trivium is a heavy metal band, and he was saying over the past year that like, he's like, I don't even know if I want to go back out on the road. I'm making a living just doing Twitch. So I'm like, all right, I can do this too. I can do this. I may not be on the level as Matt from Trivium, but I'm pretty sure that I could do this. I have a wide repertoire, and it's not about just sitting down and playing music. It's about the stories. It's about the stories of my journey in the music business, or stories that happen during the day, or letting we get a discussion going within the night, and we start talking about 80s sitcoms or something like that. So I did envision being able to make a living. Did I expect it to go as quickly and be at a level that I'm at already? No, I thought it was going to take a much longer time than this, but it's been nice. And I'm very excited about what the future can bring, because the sky's the limit on here. And this is what I was hoping when I got into Twitch, is that I would become more home-based, which is I really kind of wanted to do after playing as many gigs as I had in 20 years, especially the past 10 years, and holding 250 to 300 gigs a year. It is getting to be a burnout. And I'm not getting any younger. I have a daughter that's getting older, and as a musician, even somebody who's local, your life is at night. And I realized, holy crap, what if she's in softball? What if she's doing an after school thing? What if she's in a play? What if she's in all that? Those things all happen when musicians are working, So I was like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? So Twitch is allowing me a freedom to be able to still be a musician, and become more of a bigger part of my daughter as she gets older. I didn't want that feeling of like, oh well, dad wasn't there for this and dad wasn't there for that, and I didn't want that. So my plan is to be a full-time Twitcher and part-time player of shows when it comes back. But when I do play the shows, I want to play the shows that I really truly enjoy. I don't want to take them just because I gotta, I hate to say it, but there's a good handful of gigs that I play on a monthly basis that I no offense to the venues, no offense to the people that came out, I was taking them to pay the bills. It's my job. Anybody that has a job sometimes does not want to go to their job, but they gotta go because they gotta pay their bills. And there's times that it felt like that, and I don't wanna feel like that going to a gig anymore. So I think I'm gonna try to find this nice little balance when everything goes back to normal, whenever that may be, of being a full-time Twitcher. Plus I have a bunch of other stuff that I do at home, studio work and all this other stuff that I can do at my home studio, and then go out and play the shows that I really truly enjoy. And then that makes those shows even more special for myself and for the people who come out to see me, because I'm not as available as much. So it'll be nice. And then who knows what this network of musicians that I've built can do, because now all of a sudden I might be able to build up a market without ever having to go and play that market. And then all of a sudden I'm worth something in Kansas City, and I can go to Kansas City and fill a club, and then I can network with all these other Twitchers and musicians that I meet, and we all kind of help each other get there, get back. And I could go on about the amazing possibilities that at Twitch, but I think any musician or any artist right now should really start looking into Twitch or similar platforms, because as long as this is going on, this pandemic, and even after this pandemic, I think it's just going to thrive. It's going to thrive. Thanks, everybody. I hope that I offered some insight as to what's going on with me, giving some insight to you. I want to thank Making Music Magazine for having me, and of course, my sponsor, Bogart, whybogart.com. You can find me on all the socials as Just Joe, and if you want to find me on Twitch, simple, Just Joe Syracuse. Put it in, find me, come hang out sometime.